Alrighty, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. No one is watching, but I don't give a shit. I am here to test something out that I've always wanted to do. I am here today, live on a Google Hangout with a good buddy of mine. His name is Cody. And
hello, everyone.
So this is me going live on a program called OBS. Anyone who's pretty much gone live at this point most likely uses it because it's free. It works really well, and it's pretty accessible, honestly. So I don't know if you're on it or not, Cody. If you can see that we're live right now, I can see through OBS that I'm streaming. So I'm going to go on the top chat, and I'm going to put down something. This stream is really stupid. There we go. Let's start it up. No snipe. You just gay. Oh wow, it actually put it on there. I would have figured that it would have like shot it down and be like, no bad words on here. By the way, anyone who is watching, you can put as many bad words as you want. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to be censoring anyone who is on here. The only thing I would ask you not to do is don't dox people. Yeah, I think that sounds pretty fair. So if you dox people, I'm not going to...
I think that's fair. Just don't be a jerk.
Yeah. Hell, even Jim, Mr. Medicare himself, does not condone doxing. That pretty much says it. He'll let you put whatever you want, but if it's something like that, it's doxing. He's not going to repeat it. He's not going to show it out.
No. You know what? Speaking of doxing, a lot of people say there's a fine line between doxing and not doxing.
Anything that is already considered public information, I don't really view as doxing.
Right, because if it can be searched through Google search, or
yes.
if it's online, it's public domain essentially.
Well, yes and no, because technically, if you look hard enough, you will find someone's personal information online, like their address, their phone number, where they work. You just have to dig deep and look around. But like anything that is specifically public, if you yourself are giving away your information, at that point you cannot be saying, oh, I'm being doxxed, because in a sense you basically could say you doxed yourself. You know, that's basically why you should not give your actual physical address. You know, I have the most I'll go is I say I live in Wilmington, Ohio. That's it.
Right.
That's as far as I'll go. I'm not going to give them the actual address that's physical. I will give them a P.O. box, and that is the most, because that is something that's just shipped to the post office, and then that's it. That's not going to my physical address. But
right. I just say Southern Ohio.
Yeah. But yeah, doxing sucks. Do you know that, what was it, like a year? It was either earlier this year or it was last year. Someone actually died from swatting.
Yeah, and that's the ugly part of the internet I really hate. It's you have nothing better to do than to do this to people.
Mm-hmm. Did you know that the guy actually did get caught, and he is either in jail or prison, because basically it was he did commit indirectly homicide. Basically he sent cops to inadvertently kill someone, which is pretty much what a lot of these people are doing, because I think it's funny. But yeah, in the end, he got caught, and he got tried, and he went to prison for it, and he's going to be there for at least a couple years, if not more. And at that point, they've actually set a legal precedent that swatting is counted as either attempted murder or something. It is specifically dictated in Kansas, which is where this happened, that it is a felony. And I can't believe it took this long to happen. It literally took someone being murdered for this to happen, and that is upsetting. And this has been going on for years.
Upsetting.
Even someone as lame as Mundane Matt got swatted. And that's not to downplay it, but I'm saying that it's getting to the point where anyone who decides to be a public figure online, if they piss off a couple people, is going to be risking themselves being swatted because someone's going to call and say, "Oh yeah, I'm so and so, and I'm gonna, kill this one person because I have a gun and all that," or "Hey, there's a bomb threat at this location." It gets to the point where some popular figures that know what's likely to happen to them, they have to let law enforcement know, "Hey, I'm a popular person. I stream online. People have figured out my address, and there's a possibility that somewhere down the road you are going to get a call saying that this is going on." Now, I understand wellness checks happen sometimes too. I believe it was a month or so ago. Boogie, you're familiar with Boogie, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he actually got a wellness check called on him because he was talking about killing himself. And that actually isn't a bad thing. But like the idea of a whole SWAT team armed to the teeth coming out guns ready to blow you up is scary. And I can't believe that we live in a society where that is a actual possibility. Then again, I live in a town where we've actually had, I think, 2 bomb threats at an elementary school last year. I don't know if you heard about that or not. I don't think it was necessarily big news, but there was actually a bomb threat that was called on one of the elementary schools here.
I know that there was, I think last year in the Fayette County area near where I live, there was a couple bomb threats about 2 weeks apart from each other.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing. I think they were saying it could have been the same person too. Yeah, it's just ridiculous, and people are just doing it because they find it funny. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's what I don't get. It's just the sheer fact that this is how people get their enjoyment. I don't know why they do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they do it, but the way it happens, it just disturbs me. And then doxing. It's like, what do you gain from this? I do think if you dox somebody, if you swat somebody, you should be held responsible for what happens.
Oh, hell yeah.
Absolutely.
I
don't know. Are you familiar with who Adam Sessler is?
The name sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't
He
exactly know. He
used to be on G4.
G4. Oh, the gaming channel.
Yeah, and then he's online too, and there was a video where he said that he basically condoned doxing, and then Jim Sterling kind of nodded agreeably with it.
Yeah, they think it's fine until it happens to them.
Well, I don't think they would think it's so funny is if these laws are enforced where if you condone it or you participate in it, I'd say more participating. If you participate in doxing,
yeah,
you should be brought up on charges.
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely.
Because you're basically an accessory.
Well, like I said, when it's a public figure and their information is already public knowledge to an extent, like say for example, like you're an actor, okay? People know what your name is. People will know what your birth date is. Now They might not know exactly where you live unless if it's one of those particular celebrities that blasts where they live because, you know, oh, I'm having this reality show, so here's my house. You know, that's where it gets more of a gray area. Not saying that they're inviting that to happen, but I think there needs to be a level of common courtesy that, you know, hey, yeah, I know that they're bringing themselves kind of into this position, but I think it's better just to be civil. You know, don't be a jackass
Right.
by saying, "Oh, hey, let's call in a bomb threat at this location, which happens to be the Kardashians' house." You know,
And then, you know, back to what you said earlier. Yeah, it is upsetting about that whole swatting incident, but unfortunately, you know, a lot of times they'll throw up their hands and shrug their shoulders because there's no law in the books about that kind of thing.
no, and I think
And
that
unfortunately, it takes a tragic event like that for there to be laws made.
and that's exactly what happened. And here's the sad part. So far, this law that is trying to get passed right now is only happening in Kansas. So does that mean that we have to have someone get killed by a SWAT team in every state?
No, I don't think it. I don't think that's what it should mean. I mean, they should look at that and say, you know what, that should be effective in more than just Kansas.
Well, it's an ongoing problem anywhere. Okay? You have to look
Right.
at the situation and say, wow, that could have happened to all these other people. And, like, I don't really give a crap about him. I think he's a quote-unquote garbage human. But someone like Ice Poseidon, who constantly, you know, has all these streams, oh, I'm getting swatted again today, blah, 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 blah. And then he's like, you know, doing that IRL streaming where he's in the middle of town or the city or whatnot, reading super chats. And then, you know, police regularly come up to him, hey, are you blah, blah, blah? Are you go by Ice Poseidon? We're just checking on you because we got a phone call that you're talking about, like, doing this or that. And it's like, oh, yeah, people are swatting me all the time. And, you know, I wonder if some of these people are actually dumb enough that they're actually looking that as a part of like getting publicity, which honestly,
It's just a prank, bro.
yeah, it's just a prank, bro. I really fucking hate that. After
But
that
I
whole
think
Daddy 05 bullshit, I hate the whole it's just a prank, bro thing.
I know, but people see that, like, they'll just do the most horrendous stuff and try to write it off as a prank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people can. I mean, if you're that stupid, whatever. But where I draw the line is, don't do it to kids. Don't do it
Right.
to kids. Don't do it to your pets. That's just no. That's just asking for problems. And I can't believe they're actually still on YouTube. Actually, if you go up the Philip DeFranco, the latest video he did, he talked about them because, you know, they finally got his attention again. I guess his fans were telling him, hey, they're still on there. Isn't that crazy? But I guess during him editing his video, YouTube finally stepped in and took down that channel. Finally. So, but
Yeah.
what people will do to try to get money, I guess.
Yeah. And it also kind of opens your eyes at what, you know, the rules on YouTube are.
Yeah. You know what?
You know, you let that stuff slide.
If you let kids on your videos, you gotta do it smart. You know, don't publicly prove that you're abusing your children. You know, don't show stuff where they're getting hurt. Don't show stuff where they're actually looking distressed. And that should be common sense, but apparently in a lot of instances, they do not have that. So, yeah.
Right.
I don't feel bad one bit that they're off of YouTube. I think that it's I just can't believe it took that long.
Right, but this goes back around to the whole thing. It's like there has to be a precedent set.
Yeah. They have to finally, I guess it's one of those instances, they have to draw the line, and they have to find someone who crosses said line before they can say, okay, yeah, maybe this is, maybe this is, shouldn't be allowed. And it's just getting to a point where we can actually finally take said precedent and then hold it as the standard. You know? There's worse things to go after than stuff like skepticism videos and Let's Plays and the internet blood sports. Well, there really isn't much left of internet blood sports since pretty much most of the hosts kind of imploded on each other, which sucks because I really liked the Morning Kumite. I used to watch the crap out of that show.
Okay, answer me. Is it Kumite or is it Kumite?
It's the Kumite. Have you ever seen the episode of the Boondocks that had Aisha Tyler in it, and she was this like badass ninja woman that was dating Granddad? Because in that episode, they actually talk about the Kumite. That's the only reason I know that's how it's pronounced. Now
I've heard it pronounced both ways.
I've heard Naked Ape pronounce it Kumite, and I think there was a couple other people that pronounced it Kumite. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's probably an accurate pronunciation too. Just, I don't know, I think Kumite sounds more badass. You know, going to the Kumite. You know?
That sounds like a weapon.
Yeah, well, yeah, or like some kind of, gathering. But,
yeah.
Dude.
Come to the Kumite for 2-for-1 burgers.
Have you ever, did you ever watch any of the Kumite? When they had a couple of them?
I can't say that I have, honestly.
That was really the only one. Well, okay, no, he showed up in a couple of ones. But very, like, here and there, they actually had Mr. Medicare on the Kumite. They had Mr. Medicare on the Kumite. They had Mr. Medicare on Warski Live. He was actually on all of them because he loves the idea of setting up two people that have some kind of beef and just let them bitch each other out with no interruptions. Because it's like your Jerry Springer garbage fire entertainment. And honestly, it's sometimes fun to watch trash burn.
It's true. It's like watching a train wreck.
Oh, hell yeah. And it's crazy how most of them kind of didn't understand that concept, and they didn't let it go to its full potential. You know? There were some instances where it got really good, like Richard Spencer versus Sargon. Oh, man. That was crazy. But yeah, or like Mr. Medicare versus Ross. The fact that Ross actually came back was crazy.
Yeah.
But
wasn't he that guy that like said something about watching kids in the bathtub?
Yep, that was the bathtub guy. Yeah, he's definitely something. That he's talking about like the bloodlust and wanting to actually hurt kids and hurt people, and then he'll actually like backpedal. Oh no, I didn't mean that. I mean like real people, and yeah, he's definitely some kind of sticky situation you don't want to be a part of. And they'd be like, oh well, I'm gonna get my super hackers, and they're gonna fuck you up, and they're gonna put you in a red room, and yeah, and then he'll just fucking on camera, like, you know, it's fucking funny. But
I like, these streams where it just seems like a few buddies hanging around talking.
Oh, that's actually honestly what the Kumite does half the time. They talk about stupid shit. Like, Tonkasaw. That's the guy who does the Kumite. He has a channel that people, that he actually did before he started doing the morning Kumite. And it's a channel called Grapple Vision. And I actually noticed he did a live reaction live stream of him watching the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. And what he did was, it was just him, a guy named Failure Accomplished, was honestly, Failure kind of reminds me of you a little bit. I really like Failure. They're perfect for each other in terms of how they play off in each other. And they are watching this. Periodically, they might show a live clip on the top corner just to show what people are talking about. And they'll just give their 2 cents on it. And it's entertaining. But, yeah, the Grapple Vision channel is all about wrestling and MMA. And it's not a bad channel, actually. It doesn't have too many subscribers. It's got like 30,000, I think. But it's pretty fun to watch. If you like wrestling, I would say check it out. But the other thing that I like is... let's see, what else does he do? Actually, there's a really fun channel that is associated with Tonkasaw and Failure. It's known as Golf City. There's Fright Supremacy, and then there's the Golf City like subsidiary channels like AP the Frog, Golf City Cartoon. And it's this cartoon series that is making fun of like political stuff. Like instead of the alt-right, there is the alt-fright. And there's like ghosts and stuff, and then AP the Frog basically looks like Pepe the Frog dressed in a business suit, and he talks like he's a black dude. It's really funny.
Oh no!
If you get a chance, check out Golf City. I find it funny.
Golf City.
Golf City. You'll find it under Golf City. Cartoons, and then Fright, the actual main channel that the guy has most of his stuff in, is called Fright Supremacy. He re-uploads the Golf City cartoons on that as well. But it's a pretty fun show. Okay. It takes him forever to make an episode, but it's actually animated. So I actually kind of find that funny. But it's got a lot of funny, like I said, political satire. But did you hear that Google is getting sued by the UK for like $4 billion?
No.
Yeah.
Is that about that whole the meme stuff?
No. The meme thing is still going on, and anyone who likes to meme in Europe, like PewDiePie and all these other people in Europe, they might want to kind of try to lobby against this. Because this is ridiculous censorship. It's not even passed yet, I don't think. But if it gets passed, the EU is not going to be fun. But no, basically they were hit with an antitrust suit. Like you've heard of the Sherman Antitrust Act, right? In the United States.
Yes.
That's all about the whole monopoly bullshit. Well, they basically have the same thing in Europe. And they hit Google twice. They actually broke their own record, because the previous record of the largest lawsuit in Europe was again by Google a couple years ago. That was like $2 billion. And what it is...
Oh my gosh.
What it is that every like technology group is complaining and bitching that Google has like... basically got a monopoly on the Android market. So the Google Play Store, having Google Chrome, Google Hangouts, all this Google apps and everything. It's like they can't let like at least some competition. There's no Amazon store for apps. Well, I guess it kind of is now, but there's no like alternative startup browser. Can't have Internet Explorer or one that's actually made by Android or Firefox already put in. It's all this stuff that's already preloaded with Google bullshit. And people are saying, no, I'm having enough with it. Fuck Google. We're going to sue you for $4 billion. And Google's like, well, I'm going to be appealing that, and we're gonna be duking it out for a while. So yeah, prepare to see a lot of money be drained because of countless lawsuits and appeals and all this. And I find it hilarious because Google honestly deserves to be taken down a peg. Because, I mean, look at it. Look at the tablet you're on. Google this, Google that. You know, we're on Google Hangouts right now. I mean, yeah, sure, we could have used Skype, but in terms of what's easily accessible, what people, what's more commonly used, you're going to go straight to Google. When you want to look something up, you don't Bing it. You don't ask Jeeves.
No, absolutely not.
You Google it. I mean, part of it is brand recognition too, but another part of it is like everything is just, I mean, I've been a guy that's not been into like, supporting the man, I used to use Yahoo all the time. I still use my Yahoo email, and periodically I'll search through Yahoo. I mean, we already know that Google has preferred search results. So, if you type in Hillary Clinton, was it 2 years ago, you were going to get, Hillary Clinton bullshit that like was completely opposite of something like Yahoo, or even going on like DuckDuckGo or something. And so, yeah, when you see that there is a bias, it does kind of weird me out on something like Google, but like you're so immersed in it. I mean, it's one of those instances, had we known now, or had we known then what we know now, I would have put a lot of money in Google because, holy shit, they basically own the internet. And it's ridiculous.
Absolutely. I can see where they're coming from with that, because, Android and iOS are like the two main operating systems on portable devices anymore.
Yeah, and here's the kicker. When you get a Mac, you have Safari, but in a lot of cases, you also have Google Chrome. By the way, I do not like Google Chrome. I don't use it. I know everyone likes to use Google Chrome, but I'll stick with Firefox. And then if I didn't use Firefox, I would probably use Opera, honestly. I don't know. Every time I've used Google Chrome, I've just never been really into it. I know some people were like, oh yeah, Google Chrome's the best, blah, 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 but I'm just not really...
Well, I'm not screaming it from the rooftop. It's just, it's there and convenient.
And see,
it's there. It works for me. It does what I need it to do.
And that's the problem. That's why they're getting sued. Is because it's too easily accessible. If you had the option of getting your system with, honestly, what would make more sense than anything is if Android themselves, or say, I don't know, the company that is that is producing said phone or said technology had their own browser. So like Microsoft, they still have Internet Explorer or what is it, Microsoft Edge or whatever. There's still that option, but I mean, they honestly set themselves up for this to happen, and I do not think that they're victims in this. I don't necessarily think they're going to end up paying $4 billion. It's probably going to get taken down a good bit, but they're going to pay money regardless. There's no doubt about that.
And, in all honesty, I think, maybe this could be good. It could influence others to make, really good and accessible operating systems.
Yeah, that would honestly be a really good thing.
I mean, maybe the people who make Mozilla, that do the Firefox, maybe they can develop an OS for mobile.
They actually have Firefox.
And shop it around.
They do have Firefox on Android. And if you download Firefox,
you can download
on a computer, it actually gives you the option of trying to get it on all your devices and have everything synced, so it's convenient. and they also have that for Google as well. It's just, it's not, you actually have to go and search for it, where in general, Google's already there. You know, it's really sneaky. You're really sneaky, Google. You're not gonna pull a wool over the eyes of the UK. No, maybe America, when people don't give a shit, apparently, but not the UK.
You know, the other part of me kind of wonders sometimes if there wasn't like contracts involved with this, like, you know, with Samsung and LG, and like said, you know, hey, you know,
if
you know, have us as the default browser or have an option for it, because you know, it used to be the Android market, now it's the Google Play Store.
And what I think
so I'm thinking, you know, maybe.
Go on.
So yeah, it's just like, you know, you're kind of stuck with it one way or the other, but you know, like I said, I'm not really up on laws about these kind of things. I mean, I've never been accused of being a genius.
Yeah.
But basically, I think, you know, I would not be opposed to having new operating systems like on phones, but you know, to be able to have something that rivals the Android operating system would take quite some time to develop.
Well, it's like I always do this. I always bring it to wrestling. It's like competing with the WWE. You know? How do you even start?
Right.
You know, it's a very intimidating idea. Oh yeah, let's compete against Google. In theory, yeah, it'd be nice, but to actually do it,
you could, and you would like get a very small amount of people watching this, but you would swear there were more people watching this smaller product. I mean, tangent about wrestling, because it's like with all this commotion about New Japan, and I've seen a few New Japan events, and it's pretty good, but you know, is it quite where WWE is right now?
Well, production value, no.
Production value, no. Match quality, it far exceeds it. But you know, how do you compete? That's how it comes back to it. How do you compete with something that's a juggernaut?
It's well, I mean, you have to look at the last company that could directly compete. What did WCW have? They had a brilliant mind that could actually get good exposure. They had a billionaire. That certainly helps.
They had Ted Turner.
And they had a network that they could just put it right there. Easy watching, right there. And I'm sure if they played their cards just right and they had the talent, you know, if they had something that was at least doable in terms of the match quality and the advertisement to get people out, to get their product out there, they could compete against WWE. I'm saying go head to head on at least one of the shows. I would say, honestly, the easier show for them to go up against would probably, sadly, be SmackDown. Which sucks because SmackDown's the better show, but people don't watch SmackDown as much as they watch Raw, even though they complain that Raw is worse. And, you know, keep your show consistent. Honestly, if they were to compete against Raw, make it a 1 hour long show. Start it either on the first hour or the third hour. And then let Raw have the rest of it and see where it goes. See if people are actually tuning in on them instead of WWE.
So yeah, I think, you know, it just occurred to me while we were talking about this. Are you familiar with who Richard Branson is?
No.
The guy who owns Virgin?
The guy who owns Virgin?
A billionaire. Virgin Mobile.
Ah, okay.
So maybe he could probably back somebody with a new OS idea.
That could be doable. That, I mean, if someone's willing to spend their money, then yes, it could be very doable. I mean, I've said the same thing about YouTube. I know I'm on YouTube right now, but it's like if you want to have a good competing streaming service, streaming website that is comparable to YouTube, you need the money, you need someone who can actually manage it properly, you need the exposure, and most importantly, you need the talent. You need big names, and honestly, you have to get names that of people you might not even like, but something that is enough to get people to go there. I've always said if you're going to go big and get something that's out there, you need the biggest names. So WCW, who do they have?
They had, but before Hogan came in or after Hogan came?
Well, I mean, honestly, Hogan. When they got Hogan, that
Hogan.
changed everything.
Then Savage came in.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hall and Nash.
Yeah. And honestly, they could have just left it as that, but they kept on getting more and more. But the point is, when you get the biggest name in professional wrestling, the most recognizable figure, you are going to get more attention. So, with that said, when you're going to compete against YouTube, what's the biggest name in YouTube?
PewDiePie.
Yeah. If you could get PewDiePie to basically jump ship and go to a new service or create one himself, I believe that would have more long-lasting power than someone trying to just create a service like VidMe, which honestly could have gone somewhere, but there were no real names. But someone like, okay, and this is going to suck because you're basically getting, like I said, what could potentially be the best and the worst, but regardless, the most popular. Say you get your PewDiePie, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, the Paul brothers, the biggest names that everyone pretty much is subscribed to. That is going to get enough attention where people will start migrating over. At least that's the theory. Because if they're going to broadcast exclusively in this one specific area, that is going to create more buzz on this one place. Hey, the biggest names on YouTube are now going over to this website. You want to be here. Because we're getting more and more corporate TV networks that are kind of flooding this website anyway. You know, you'll have...
Yeah, I mean, you get more of your late night talk shows and
that's not what people want here on YouTube. I mean, people will watch it, of course, but people initially wanted to watch or broadcast original content. And that's kind of something that YouTube has been going away from, and it's a shame. But I think, honestly, if the biggest names went and left and either created their own website or jumped into another one that had a little bit more freedom, and you don't even need YouTube's pay system. It's AdSense. You don't need the AdSense anymore because the AdSense is at this point broken. Unless if you're a preferred channel, which honestly, they're losing a lot of them because they're doing certain things that are getting themselves bumped off of it. So what do you have left? You have the Google Super Chats, which they take 30% of, and I'm sure at some point they'll try to do something to ruin that because people are going to say, oh, well, this is condoning free speech. This is condoning hate speech, even though, you know, the people that are putting the Super Chats in are willingly giving their money to it. It makes you ask how much a bigot's dollar is worth. But, you know, you have alternatives now. You have Streamlabs, which is outside of YouTube. You have Patreon, which is outside of YouTube. So YouTube isn't really paying people anymore that these other places couldn't match. And it's getting to a point where if honestly someone just steps up, a group of people just step up and tries to start this and branch away and create some actual competition. Honestly, it'll do two things. One, it'll create an alternative, which is important. And I know there's Daily Motion and there's Vimeo, but really they're not competition to the likes of YouTube. But yeah, there's those two. But one, it also gives YouTube a chance to improve on themselves and say, hey, we're losing a lot of money because all these big names are leaving. We got to try to do something to get them back. And maybe some of them will go back if they change certain things. But that is what I believe is something that should happen. And people might not believe me. People might think it's a stupid idea. But damn it, I think it's something that at least needs to be attempted and fully attempted. Not someone like TJ Kirk putting up a website half-assed and it not working because he didn't have all what he needed to be put behind it. I'm saying, honestly, you're going to have some of these people that have already made millions of dollars, like Felix, put in the money himself. I know he saved a lot of his money anyway. And if it fails, at least you could say that he tried. But I think with his name, it'll go somewhere. But anyway, right. Closing thoughts.
I think so.
Closing thoughts. I'm going to wrap this up. Because this is honestly, even though this is a test, this is the full show.
But yeah, I mean, it's like what you suggested, the internet's attitude era.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if it'll be as gratuitous as the attitude era, but still, I do agree there should be another alternative and a good one at that, because, somebody could say they want to put up a website, but, you really need minds behind it, that know how the internet works and how to make a good streaming service and a good built-in embedded player and all this other stuff. So you need like a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it can be done. I mean, there's a lot of brilliant people out there that have these ideas, but maybe they need some other people to run those ideas through, and some other people, sometimes you got people that can make the blueprints, and you got other people that can bring the blueprints to life.
Yeah.
And I think, with the right people behind it, then, it might just give YouTube a kick in the pants that they need.
Which they do.
Well, I had a thought here. But basically, I just think that, what's your opinion as far as I know fair use is still, there's a lot of gray area as far as fair use goes, and you can't really avoid that on any site you go to. But, I do know that basically bare bones fair use covers parody, education, and critique.
There is the critique / commentary, where you are adding your own input on it. And by input, I don't necessarily say you're giving funny looks or you're just simply playing a video game. I know people do speed runs, but unless if it's an actual legit speed run to show how fast you beat it, that is actually impressive. Jabs, doing something to add to the experience that is unique to yourself. Parody, honestly, making fun of something in some kind of way that kind of sounds similar but is a little bit different. So like reworking lyrics to a song, adding lyrics to a song that doesn't have lyrics to it would work. Something like what Brental Floss does.
Speaking of, I hate to bring wrestling up again, but You know how WCW's theme songs sounded very familiar to like actual songs, but they were just different enough
Yeah.
to where they didn't get sued.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like that, basically.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of gray area to that, and I think with WWE being as big as it is, they don't even want to try to see if that's going to work or not. But there's other legal loopholes on various things too. It probably depends on where you live as well. But
Yeah, I mean, it's like I told people. I told them, the copyright laws in America are not the same as the copyright laws in Japan.
yes. Or another big one would be Sweden. Sweden's another big one. That's where the Pirate Bay was actually from, and they thrived for ages with the torrent website that it was.
Yeah.
And I love their analogy of what it is. I'm not giving you the information. I'm literally giving you I mean, to
Like a path to the information.
basically how I would work at it, and people probably use the same thing. Basically, Pirate Bay was giving you a treasure map, and you were going through other people to find said treasure. And yes, it is in a way the whole idea of going peer to peer to getting stuff is, yes, it is illegal. But the actual torrent itself is the gray area because it wasn't as traceable. It's not like, well, this guy's getting it from 10,000 sources. I can't really tell exactly where he's getting it from. That's why when they would go after people, they would actually go after the website itself. So Kick-Ass Torrents is gone. Pirate Bay, I think, is still there, actually. But it regularly gets taken down and brought back.
But anyway, that's the other thing you need with this site is maybe a good couple of lawyers to kind of keep an eye on things.
Yes. That, and you have to really put on your own guidelines on where you draw the line too. So something that say is, what could be constituted as like legit hate speech, you have to decide for yourself on whether or not you want to keep that in there. Now, you don't confuse hate speech from criticism, which I think some SJWs need to learn and understand. But like legit hate speech, like people that are, say, lobbying for the KKK or neo-Nazis, yes, they have the right to free speech, but that is one of those instances where you have to decide for yourself if that's the kind of speech you want on your website. Same thing with violence. You have to ask yourself whether violence to a certain degree is condonable or not. And the same thing with mature content. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, when it comes to a big website that involves streaming, I would be weary on something that's pornographic.
Yeah, I mean, if this website's going to be available for just about anybody to access, I mean, first of all, do you require a sign up and a required age to do this site?
Now, I think in terms of, well, obviously, if you're going to broadcast yourself, you have to have an account. That makes sense. If you're going to watch something that could be deemed bad, then I would suggest you probably need an account for that too, which is what YouTube already does. Now, the whole advertiser-friendly thing, I don't agree with that because that's saying, the only way we're going to give you money is if it's something that babies can watch. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I know that they're finally doing something involving news, but again, they're giving money to big studios that are already making a lot of money because they're broadcasting on actual TV. Bottom line is, I think that the whole advertisement AdSense bullshit needs to be completely reworked. It's broken. It makes little to no sense. The people that are complaining about their ads being on certain videos, I mean, some of this stuff is, I swear I saw casino ads, I saw mobile gaming ads, and ads for things that adults would be using anyway, not necessarily children. So a lot of it is a moral issue, and I think people just need to get that mindset out of them. But I have
come to think of it, I have seen just a quick thing about advertising. I have seen beer ads on stuff that's deemed appropriate for all ages.
Mm-hmm. And see that,
and, I know alcohol ads show up on football, which can be watched by all ages, but
well, they don't like to keep
it's
the whole idea.
Weird how like a beer ad will show up before, say, I don't know, like say you're watching Bugs Bunny cartoon on YouTube. How does a beer ad show up before that?
Well, they don't really like, for whatever reason, I guess they don't criticize or judge the different ads that are willing to buy space on their website, since they're paying them, and thus also paying, the website, paying the person who made the video. Again, the whole idea of the biggest dollar.
Right.
But
and also, this has nothing to do with AdSense or anything, but I want to know who decided that a full episode of The Handmaid's Tale counts as an advertisement.
I don't know.
A 57-minute long ad. Thank God you can skip those.
Wait, they actually had an ad that showed a whole episode of a Hulu original?
Yeah, it was either that or it was some other show. It was like 57 minutes long. I'm like, and I also, not only those, I've seen TED Talks on there. They're like an hour and a half long. And I'm like, okay, first of all, an advertisement. You think advertisement, got to be like a 30-second ad, right? Right? It should be anyway, in a perfect world.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, there should be proportionate ads. Like, if the video is under 5 minutes, maybe do at most a 30-second ad.
Yeah.
And then, like, if it's 10 minutes and beyond, maybe do a minute or maybe a 2-minute trailer.
Mm-hmm. I like the ads that are skippable. I find it a little annoying when they have unskippable ads that are over 30 seconds, which happens. But they also give you the option to buy YouTube Red, which skips them altogether.
Right.
It does feature other features too, which is nice. Like if you have it on your phone, you can
watch Cobra Kai.
I don't think I've seen that. Is that good?
I watched the first couple of episodes, and I thought it was pretty good. It definitely makes you look differently at the Karate Kid. It's just kind of like, imagine like a years gone by continuation of the story.
Really?
Now that's like done right. Like if you're gonna do a sequel and it's like years after the first one, I'd say this is when it's done right.
Okay.
It kind of looks like what's happened to everybody since.
Yeah.
And I would definitely recommend it from what I've seen, and I don't have YouTube Red, so I haven't seen the whole thing.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen, I'd say it's pretty good. Pretty good show.
Yeah.
But yeah, if YouTube wants to do something like that, maybe they could entice people with, different additional types of programming, or make deals with certain. I think, don't they have like a YouTube where you can like watch sports now?
There is YouTube TV, which actually has live TV channels you can go to. So basically, it's their way of competing against something like Sling TV, I guess. But you're still paying like $30-$40 a month then. And I don't think that it counts as YouTube Red.
So, yeah, that's essentially a cable bill right there.
Essentially, yes.
But, you know, I understand, you know, you could find what you want on demand pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sounding like an old man here by saying, like, don't they have something where you can watch whatever you want on YouTube? I'm like, I seriously need to get with the times. I felt like I got frozen in 1996, and I just came back, and somebody told me WCW doesn't exist anymore.
Dude, you know, in 2010, I took not on purpose, but I took a 2-year hiatus. Was it 2000? No, it's 2009. I took a 2-year hiatus of the internet, essentially. So I didn't really use any YouTube, any Facebook, nothing. And then I got it back, and then all of a sudden the floodgates opened up, and I just saw all this shit just piling all at once. I'm like, who the hell is this Anita Sarkeesian, and why are they making me angry? You know, why are people making me feel bad for liking certain games? I love Double Dragon, and that's not going to change. So why are they calling it regressive crap? You know? And all this talk about cultural appropriation and headmates and otherkin and all this other stuff. It's like, and that was just 2 years. And I gotta say, I was happier without it. And you know, people there's a video that I watched a couple weeks ago about someone who tried to live in the year 2000, basically from the 90s up until 2005, and see if they could do it. They were going to do it for a whole month, and in the end, no, they're going to do it for a whole week, and they couldn't even do a whole week because they realized how much they depended on social media. And social media does have a stranglehold on us, and it's really sad to come to that realization. But everyone is just constantly on their phones all the time, and they're always on Facebook, they're always on YouTube or Twitter or Tumblr or Instagram. They're always getting the news through the internet. They're always calling people on their phone, and by phone I mean like, you know, like a phone service, not a phone service, but like, you know, something like a Facebook Messenger, or, you know, the constant texting, the, you know, Snapchat and all this stuff. We have completely been subservient to our devices. And
do you think this is Skynet's first phase of its plan?
It honestly could be. We are at a point where a lot of people are going to have a hard time functioning without this stuff. I mean, do you think you could put your cell phone away, have a regular flip phone, or just have a phone that you use at your house, put away the, you know, the social media, close all your social media accounts, and not touch YouTube? And you know, the only stick with stuff, you know, that doesn't have, you know, a serious, you know, need of internet connection. You think that you'd be able to be all right with that? You know, that's something that everyone should ask themselves, and I think you really find out a little bit more about yourself when you come to that conclusion of if you can or not.
Well, I'm not going to say that I would be able to do it no problem, but I went about almost 3 weeks, almost a month.
Yeah.
Without going on Facebook.
Now, I have not used Facebook much at all the last little bit, but I gotta say, the idea of not having YouTube, I don't know what I'd do. Because I like watching all the stuff that people make. And, you know, the idea of literally just... And I am nostalgic as fuck. You know, I love the old shit. I love, you know, the NES, SNES, the Sega Genesis, and all that. and I don't know what I would do without it. But anyway, one last question, and I am done for the day. I want you to think about what we should call this show, because I want an awesome name for this live show that I'd like to start doing. If you're up for it, I think it'll be fun. We just gotta think of a time.
Yeah, I definitely think I would be up for this. It's just, yeah, we'll hammer those details out. But good name for a show. Good name for a show. Oh gosh. Sniping the Fat Man.
Sniping the Fat. Wow. Wow.
I don't know.
We'll work on it.
We'll work on it. Like I said, it'd probably be something not really profane, no profanity in the title, but I know I seem like a dad or something, but really, you don't need profanity in the title.
It's not necessary.
Oh, a good name, a good title. It has to sound like a morning zoo DJ type show.
Morning zoo DJ. Yeah, and then the thing we have to do at some point is get guests.
Like Bob and Tom, or like I said, Sniping the Fat Man has a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
Or
Sniping the Code Man.
I like that one. That one sounds pretty good.
And then we need a framing.
That one sounds good.
We need a framing device, because while I like the whole snipe one that I have right here, I'd like to have something special for our show. So,
yeah,
need someone with Photoshop skills, or someone who has Photoshop, because I do not have Photoshop. But anyway, I think
Sniping the Code Man. That actually sounds pretty good.
I think that is it for the night. I gotta go to bed because I gotta wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning to go to work. So.
Oh God.
Yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys, the maybe 1 or 2 persons that have watched it, enjoyed. If you watch this when it is not live, I hope you guys enjoy it. And, I'd like to get some guests in at some point and shoot the shit, if you know what I mean. So.
Definitely. It sounds like a really cool idea. I mean, this has just been kind of fun, even though it is a test. I would not mind doing this again.
I think it'd be fun. We just got to get a good time to do it.
We just got to get it all together and then get people together and get topics together.
Yeah. I'm going to have to watch this, though, after this is done to see how it looks and see what we can improve on. Come up with some ideas and all that. Maybe come up with some segments.
Oh, yeah.
So. Alrighty. Any last words before we say goodbye to our non-existent crowd?
Well, I want to thank those of you who did watch, and hopefully we can bring some entertainment to you in the near future. And I want to thank you, Snipe, for having me on and trying this weird little experiment on YouTube.
Yeah. All right.
I wish you and our viewers a very good night.
And likewise on my end, and hope you guys have a nice morning and next day. Till next time.